Good morning, viewer. Welcome to our first activity. Here is a breaking news from Indonesia. Hetman Nesu weeps as she clings to her 5-year-old daughter, Ume Salima, at a rescue shelter in Indonesia's Aceh province. Their faces appear gaunt, their eyes sullen, after drifting for weeks at sea on a boat with little food or water. My skin was rotting off and my bones were visible. Nessa said, I thought I would die on the boat. Nessa also cries for her 7-year-old daughter, Ume Habiba, who she says she was forced to live behind in Bangladesh. She could not afford any more than the $1,000 the traffickers demanded to transport her and her youngest child to Malaysia. My heart is burning for my daughter, she said. Nessa and Salima were among around 200 Rohingya members of a persecuted Muslim minority who embarked on the dangerous voyage in late November from Cox's Bazar, a sprawling refugee camp in Bangladesh crowded with around 1 million of people who fled alleged genocide by the Myanmar military. But soon after they left, the engine cut out. Turning word was supposed to be a 7-day journey into a month-long ordeal at sea, exposed to the elements in the open-topped wooden boat, surviving only on rainwater and just 3 days worth of food. Nessa said she saw starving men jump overboard in a desperate search for food, but they never returned. And she witnessed a baby die after being fed salt water from the sea. As the weeks wore on, the passengers, families, and air agencies pleaded with governments in multiple countries to help them, but their cries were ignored. Then on December 26, the boat was rescued by Indonesian fishermen and local authorities in Aceh, according to the United Nations Refugees Agency, that is called UNHCR. Of the 200 or so people who boarded the boat, only 174 survived. Around 26 died on the boat or are missing at sea, presumed dead. Babar Balach, an Asia spokesperson for the agency, said after a lull during COVID, the numbers of people fleeing are back to pre-COVID levels. Some 2,500 boarded unseaworthy boats last year for the journey, and as many as 400 of them died, making 2022 one of the deadliest years in a decade for Rohingya escaping Cox's Bazar. These are literally death traps that once you get in, you end up losing your life, he said. Nessa and Salima's journey began on November 25 from the overcrowded refugee camps in Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh, where she said her children could not go to school, living here with little hope for their future. Nessa said she had carried around 2 kilograms of rice for the journey, but shortly after the boat left the port, its engine died and they started drifting. Starving with no food, we saw a fishing boat nearby and tried to go close, she said, crying as she recalled the horror. We jumped in the water to swim close to that boat, but in the end, we could not. During December, as the boat bobbed aimlessly in the Bay of Bengal, the UNHCR said it was spotted near India and Sri Lanka, but the agency said those countries continuously ignored its pleas for intervention. Yes, news channel CNN has contacted the Indian and Sri Lankan navies for comment but has not received a response. Last month, Sri Lankan Navy said in a statement that its crew had made a strenuous effort to rescue another boat carrying 104 Rohingya, including many women and children who had fled Bangladesh. On December 18, Nessa's brother Muhammad Rizwan Khan, who is in Cox's Bazar, shared with CNN an audio clip of a harrowing phone call he received from one of the refugees aboard NASA's boat. "We are dying here," the man said via satellite phone. "According to the recording, we have not eaten anything for 8 to 10 days. We are starving." NASA said the boat's driver and another crew member jumped into the ocean to find food, but they never returned. "I think they got eaten by fish in the sea," she said. 12 other men entered the water while holding onto a long rope attached to the boat to try to catch something to eat. But as others on the boat tried to pull them back in the rope snapped, Nessa said they could not return to the boat. While all countries are bound by international law to rescue people in distress at sea, swift action is not always forthcoming, particularly where Rohingya refugees are concerned, according to Baloch from the UNHCR. Behind the report for SAK TV.